Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're looking at Lincoln Wheat penny coins, made from 1909 to 1958. These old pennies have Lincoln on the front and wheat ears on the back. Some are special because of their age or small details that make them different. People collect them, and a few can be worth more than just 1 cent. Let's find out which ones are interesting and fun to look for. Next up we have the 1940 for S. Lincoln Wheat penny in use condition is a remarkable relic from one of the most significant years in American history. It's not just a coin, it's a silent witness to a time when the entire world was in turmoil. The United States stood at the forefront of a global conflict. Minted in San Francisco during the final years of World War II, this small copper piece carries the weight of an era filled with sacrifice, patriotism, and hope for peace. For collectors and those who lived through that time, the 1940 for S penny is a deeply meaningful artifact. What makes this particular coin instantly recognizable is the small S mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side, right under the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. That tiny letter indicates it was struck at the San Francisco Mint, one of 3 facilities producing coins during that time. The design, created by Victor D. Brenner, features the familiar profile of President Lincoln facing right with the words, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1944 to the right. Even in used condition, these details often remain visible, offering a tangible connection to history. The 1940 for penny marked a return to the original copper-based alloy after the 1-year experiment with steel cents in 1943. That year, the U.S. Mint switched back to using 95% copper and 5% zinc because the steel pennies from the previous year were difficult to distinguish from dimes and rusted easily. So in 1944, the Mint began using recycled shell casings collected from the battlefield and military training grounds to strike new coins. That's right, the copper used in your 1940 for S penny have come from actual World War II ammunition shells. This gives the coin an emotional weight that's hard to ignore. Even though this coin has been used and shows signs of wear, it still draws interest from collectors for its historical significance and potential for value in average circulated condition. A 1940 for S wheat penny might sell for 5 to 10 cents. But certain features can increase that value dramatically. Coins with sharper details and less surface damage can fetch $2 to $5. Uncirculated examples can reach well over $10 and higher if certified by a professional grading service. The real excitement comes from rare air coins or unique varieties. One of the most famous and highly sought after is the 1940 for steel wheat penny. This error occurred when a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 were accidentally used in 1944. These coins are extremely rare and can be worth over $100,000. While most of these are believed to have come from the Philadelphia Mint, collectors always keep an eye out for a steel penny with an S mint mark. If you suspect your coin might be steel, test it with a magnet. If it sticks, you may be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. There are also lesser-known errors that can boost a 1940 for S penny's value. Look for double dies where the lettering or date appears to have a shadow or second impression. These doubling errors are the result of misalignment during the die creation process and can be worth anywhere from $20 to several hundred, depending on severity and demand. Die cracks, cuts, or lamination errors also increase value and appeal to error collectors. Beyond the price tag, this coin has an emotional and nostalgic quality that makes it special. For many older Americans, a 1940 for penny brings back childhood memories of collecting coins in jars, trading with friends, or listening to stories from relatives who lived through the war. It may remind you of ration books, victory gardens, and the sound of wartime radio broadcasts. These coins are more than old money. They are part of the American story. So if you're holding a 1940 for S Lincoln Wheat penny in used condition, take a moment to reflect on what you've got. It may not shine like it once did, but its value lies not just in rarity or price, but in the history it carries. Check it carefully for unique traits or signs of errors. And know that this coin, small as it is, has survived decades and represents a moment when the world was changing and the American spirit was at its strongest. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, coins like this remind us why collecting is about more than just money. It's about holding on to the past and keeping history alive in the palm of your hand. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark and showing a reddish shade is a stunning and vibrant piece of American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint during the post-World War II boom years, this coin represents a time of great optimism and national pride. Even in everyday pocket change, Americans could see the enduring face of Abraham Lincoln, a reminder of the country's ideals of unity and freedom. The reddish tone that this particular coin displays is especially desirable among collectors because it means some of the original mint luster has survived over the decades. That fiery copper glow can add significant appeal and even boost its value depending on the surface quality. On the front or obverse, we see Lincoln's familiar profile, designed by Victor D. Brenner. His gaze is steady, surrounded by the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1951. The lack of a mint mark tells us this coin was made in Philadelphia. The reverse continues the classic wheat penny design with two stylized airs of wheat flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America. Along with the motto E Pluribus Unum, this design remained unchanged from 1909 to 1958 and has become one of the most loved images in U.S. coin history. In fact, many older collectors today still remember using these wheat pennies in their childhood, back when a penny really meant something. Philadelphia produced over 284 million of these pennies in 1951, so it's not a rare coin in terms of mintage. However, coins like this one with reddish coloring are in a special category. As copper ages, it naturally darkens and often turns brown from oxidation and exposure to air. But some pennies manage to hold onto their original red tone, especially if they were stored carefully or spent little time in circulation. This red hue is highly prized by collectors and often plays a huge role in how the coin is graded and valued. Even though this coin has some age, its coloring gives it a youthful brightness that collectors absolutely love. In terms of value, a typical circulated 1951 penny in brown condition might fetch around 10 to 20 cents. But with red coloring and a clean surface, even a coin in average circulated condition can be worth a bit more. If this particular coin has only light wear and still shows strong detail on Lincoln's features and the wheat stalks, it might be worth closer to $1 or more to the right beer. Uncirculated red examples can sell for much higher. In fact, coins in mint state with full red luster have sold for $20 to $40, and certified top-grade examples can even reach into the hundreds. Collectors also keep a close eye on coins from this era for any interesting errors or varieties. While the 1951 penny is not widely known for rare errors, it is possible to find small mistakes that increase value dramatically. Double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks are all types of errors that can appear on wheat pennies. Even a subtle error that might go unnoticed to the casual eye can make a big difference in value. A 1951 penny with a sharp and dramatic error in red condition could attract bids in the hundreds of dollars or more, depending on demand and rarity. Holding a 1951 red-toned Lincoln penny is like owning a piece of mid-century America. Think about the time it was minted. Families were buying their first televisions. The average car cost less than $2,000. Gasoline was 20 cents a gallon. And a penny could buy a piece of candy or start a savings habit in a child's life. This coin may have sat in a coffee shop's cash register, paid for a morning newspaper, or rested in someone's pocket during a long walk home. That's the kind of invisible story every coin carries, and that's part of what makes collecting them so special. This 1951 penny, with its bright red shade and historical charm, is more than just copper and age. It's a witness to decades of change, a silent traveler through time, and a small yet shining example of enduring American craftsmanship. Whether it's part of a growing collection or a cherished keepsake from the past, it deserves admiration and care. In the right hands, it may continue its journey for another 100 years, bringing wonder and value to future generations who will one day marvel at how something so small could hold so much history. The 1925 Lincoln Wheat penny, without a mint mark in use condition, is a true vintage piece of American history. Minted nearly a century ago at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin takes us back to a time when Calvin Coolidge was president. The Roaring '20s were in full swing and silent films dominated the theaters. It may be small in size, but it holds a giant place in the story of American coinage. And when a coin survives nearly 100 years and still shows the marks of its journey, that's something that captures both the imagination and the heart. Looking at the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Even in used condition, the essential features of Lincoln's face, the coat, and the inscriptions remain visible. "In God We Trust" arches over his head, Liberty sits to the left, and the date 1925 rests to the right. Because there is no mint mark, we know it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint in the United States and still one of the most historically important. The back of the coin carries the classic wheat ears design framing the bold lettering of 1 cent and United States of America. With the motto E Pluribus Unum above, Philadelphia struck over 139 million of these coins in 1925, which means they are not considered rare in a general sense. But finding one today in decent condition is becoming harder as time passes, and many have been lost, damaged, or discarded. In used condition like this one, where there is visible wear and loss of sharp detail, it's still a treasure simply because of its age and survival. Most circulated examples from this year range in value from 15 cents to $1. But for collectors, value isn't just about price. It's about history and connection. Now, if you happen to come across a 1925 penny in exceptionally good shape or with unique characteristics, the value can rise quickly. Coins in very fine or extra fine condition can be worth several dollars, and uncirculated examples with full original red color can go for over $50 or more depending on grading and market interest. Some professional grading services have given mint state 1925 Lincoln pennies values in the hundreds of dollars when they are in top-tier condition. One of the most exciting things to look for with a coin like this is a mint error or variety. While 1925 doesn't have as many well-known errors as other years, there are always surprises. For example, doubling on the date or letters from a dime misalignment could bring a premium. Off-center strikes or planchette flaws could also increase the value, especially among error coin collectors. Sometimes these mistakes are subtle and require a magnifying glass, but finding one can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary discovery. Beyond the collector market, what makes the 1925 penny so fascinating is the world it represents. This was a time before the Great Depression, before television, before air conditioning, before most homes had phones. People still used horse-drawn carriages in some parts of the country, and the average wage was less than $1 a day. A penny back then could buy a stick of gum, a newspaper, or a handful of candy. Imagine all the places this coin may have traveled in its lifetime. It could have been in a soldier's pocket, in a child's coin jar, or passed across a counter in a general store long gone. If you're someone who appreciates history, this coin is a beautiful reminder of how far we've come. Holding a 1925 Lincoln Wheat penny is like holding a whisper from the past, something solid that's made it through all the changes of the last 100 years. It's not just a coin, it's a survivor. Check it closely, appreciate its details, and consider it part of a living collection of American history. Whether it's worth a few cents or a few dollars, it's priceless in the story it tells and the time it represents. That kind of value can't be measured in money alone. The 1956 Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition is a humble yet meaningful piece of American coinage that tells a rich story. Minted in Denver during a time of national growth and post-war optimism, this penny holds a place not only in collectors' albums but also in the memories of countless Americans who once spent it on everyday items. Even with years of wear, the design remains recognizable and powerful. On the front, we see the ever-steady face of President Abraham Lincoln, a tribute to leadership and unity. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1956 surround his image. The small D beneath the date marks its Denver origin. One of the 3 U.S. mints active at the time turned the coin over, and the reverse side shows the classic wheat design created by Victor D. Brenner. To stylized wheat stalks frame the bold words 1 cent and United States of America, with the national motto E pluribus unum curving across the top. This wheat design was used from 1909 to 1958 and has since become a nostalgic favorite among coin collectors. The 1956 penny was one of the last in the wheat series before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That fact alone gives it added significance to collectors who value the end of an era. The mintage for the 1956 wheat penny was remarkably high. Over 1 billion coins were struck at the Denver Mint, making it one of the most common wheat pennies ever made. Because of this large production, circulated versions like this one are generally easy to find and not rare in the traditional sense. However, age and condition always add interest. A coin that has survived nearly 70 years and still displays clear details despite its circulation is a testament to the resilience of old American coinage. Many collectors still seek out 1956 pennies to complete their sets, especially if they are new to collecting or working on building a full wheat penny collection. In circulated condition, most 1956 pennies are valued between 5 cents and -1 cents depending on the level of wear and eye appeal. Coins with strong details, minimal surface damage, and original coloring may command slightly more. However, the real excitement for collectors often comes from rare varieties and errors. The 1956 penny is known for having several potential errors that could increase its value. These include repunched mint marks, where the D was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in a visible doubling effect under magnification. Coins with this kind of error can sell for several dollars, and in top condition, even into the hundreds. There are also minor doubling errors, die cracks, and off-center strikes that sometimes appear on this date. While not every 1956 penny has an error, it is always worth examining them closely under good lighting or with a magnifying lens. You never know when a common-looking coin could turn out to be a hidden treasure. Even a slight misalignment or minting flaw can make a coin more desirable, especially if the error is dramatic or clearly visible without magnification. For many older collectors, this particular penny brings back memories of childhood. A penny in the 1950s could buy a piece of gum, start a savings jar, or be the reward for chores completed. It jingled in pockets during the Eisenhower years, sat in soda machines, and passed through the hands of kids collecting coins before heading to the local corner store. Owning one today, even in worn condition, brings those memories back and creates a personal connection to the past. The beauty of coins like the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny is that they continue to be appreciated not just for their metal content, but for their history and symbolism. Each scratch and dent tells part of its journey. Even after decades of use, these coins hold their integrity and charm. They serve as tiny windows into American life, carrying stories that no history book ever could. Whether you are collecting for fun, investment, or nostalgia, this 1956 penny deserves a place in your collection as a symbol of resilience, tradition, and the enduring value of. Next up we have the 1938 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition is a small but powerful reminder of pre-war America. This coin was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small d mint mark just below the date on the front side, struck during a time of great economic recovery after the Great Depression, and just before the onset of World War II, the 1938 D penny carries a story that goes beyond its simple copper form. For collectors and history lovers, this little coin opens a window to a world that was changing fast. The obverse features the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Even in circulated condition, his profile is still easily recognizable, with strong features that reflect both dignity and determination. The words "In God We Trust" are curved above his head, with liberty to the left and the year 1938 to the right. Right below the date, you'll notice the D mint mark, showing that this coin was produced in Denver. The reverse side features two stylized wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin phrase E pluribus unum just above. This design, known as the wheat reverse or wheat ears design, was used from 1909 to 1958 and remains one of the most beloved coin designs in American history. It symbolized prosperity and the hard work of the American people. Although millions of these coins were produced, time and use have taken their toll. A 1938 D penny in circulated condition will typically show somewhere on Lincoln's face and jacket, and the wheat stalks on the back may be a bit worn down. However, that where also tells a story. It shows that the coin moved through countless hands and was part of real lives during an important period in American history. In terms of value, a circulated 1938 D wheat penny is generally considered a common date for the series, with over 20 million struck. Most circulated examples are worth between 15 cents and $1. But certain factors can increase that value. A coin with minimal wear, even if technically circulated, might fetch $2 to $3, especially if the details are still sharp and the surfaces are clean and free of corrosion or heavy marks. There are also rare varieties and errors that could boost the value significantly. Collectors pay close attention to double die varieties, where the lettering or numbers appear to be slightly doubled due to a misstrike during production. Though not as well known in 1938 as in other years, a true double die coin can raise the value to $25 or more. Also, off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped plankets could push values even higher, with rare examples bringing in over $100 or more depending on severity and eye appeal. Another point of interest is the coin's color. A bright red uncirculated 1938 D penny is highly prized and can be worth over $20. However, even in circulated condition, if the coin has a rich reddish-brown tone with strong luster, collectors are more likely to pay a premium. It's always wise to store older pennies in coin holders or protective sleeves to preserve their condition and prevent further wear or discoloration. The emotional and historical connection to this coin is just as important as its market value. For people aged 50 and older, this coin may remind them of stories from parents or grandparents who lived through the tail end of the Great Depression and into the war years. It may evoke memories of coin collecting as a child, kneeling on the floor with a magnifying glass and a worn blue Whitman folder, trying to fill in the missing dates and mint marks. So if you're holding a 1938 D Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition, you've got more than a simple coin. You've got a link to America's past, a tangible piece of everyday life from nearly a century ago. It may not be the rarest or most expensive coin in your collection, but it carries with it the weight of real history. Check it closely for any unusual features, keep it safe, and appreciate the story it represents. Sometimes the true value of a coin isn't in its price, but in the journey it's taken to reach your hand. The 1949 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in circulated condition is a fascinating coin that takes us back to the post-World War II years in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this penny carries no mint mark, a common trait for coins from that facility at the time. Though it may seem like an ordinary coin to the casual observer, collectors know that every Lincoln wheat penny tells a unique story through its age, design, wear, and journey through American hands. The obverse of the coin features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. It includes the phrases "In God We Trust" along the upper rim, "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln, and the date 1949 to the right. On circulated coins like this one, you may notice slight smoothing of the high points, especially on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and hair. Yet, even with wear, the coin still retains its character and charm. The reverse shows the iconic wheat design, with two curved stalks bordering the denomination 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, E pluribus unum is boldly displayed, adding a touch of unity and national pride to the piece. Over 217 million of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia in 1949, so the coin is not considered rare in terms of production. However, that doesn't mean it lacks value or interest. In circulated condition, most 1949 wheat pennies are worth between 5 cents and 50 cents, depending on the level of wear and overall appeal. Still, what makes this coin exciting is its place in the transitional years of the late 1940s, a time when the United States was emerging from war and reshaping itself for the modern age. This coin might have helped buy a newspaper, a candy bar, or a bus fare during a time of great national change. Collectors particularly enjoy finding wheat pennies from this era because of their quality and historic importance. Coins like this are often part of starter collections for young hobbyists, and for older collectors, they evoke vivid memories of daily life when pennies truly held value. Imagine this coin changing hands during a 1949 trip to the movie theater, or being dropped into a piggy bank by a child saving for the first time. These coins are more than just metal. They are time capsules that have traveled from generation to generation. Although the 1949 Lincoln penny is not known for widespread errors, there are still occasional finds that excite the collector community. These include double dies where elements like the date or lettering are struck twice, creating a shadow-like effect, or die cracks that form raised lines on the surface. Off-center strikes where the coin was not properly aligned during minting also add value when they are dramatic. A 1949 penny with a clear and appealing error can sell for significantly more than its standard value, especially if the coin is in good condition or has been preserved with minimal damage. Another detail that draws collector attention is the color of the coin. Wheat pennies were made from 95% copper, and over time, their color can shift from bright red to deep brown. A coin that still has some of its original red luster, even in circulated condition, might be more desirable. While this 1949 penny is circulated and likely leans toward the brown end of the color spectrum, even a faint shine from its original mint glow can add both beauty and collectible appeal. When you hold a coin like this 1949 wheat penny, you are not just looking at a simple piece of change. You are holding something that has seen more than 70 years of American history. It passed through decades of growth, conflict, celebration, and transformation. Coins like this serve as living reminders of how something so small could once play such a meaningful role in everyday life. From store counters to school desks, these pennies moved through countless hands, each one adding a little more to their silent story. The fact that this coin is still here, even after all those years, shows its strength and lasting value. While it may not bring thousands of dollars at auction, its true worth lies in its connection to the past, its role in a shared history, and the joy it brings to collectors who know how to appreciate the quiet treasures hiding in plain sight. This 1949 Lincoln wheat penny remains a humble but powerful link to the American experience, and it's a coin that deserves both recognition and respect in any collection. The 1949's Lincoln wheat penny in damaged condition with small black shading is a coin that holds both historical and sentimental value despite its wear. Minted at the San Francisco Mint, this penny carries the small yet distinct S Mint mark beneath the date, a detail that always draws attention from collectors who seek coins from every U.S. Mint location. Even though it shows signs of damage and dark discoloration, this coin has survived more than 7 decades and continues to represent a piece of everyday American life from the post-war era. The obverse features the dignified image of President Abraham Lincoln, surrounded by the words "In God We Trust" along the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1949 with the S mint mark on the right. Although damage may have softened some of the finer details on Lincoln's face or in the surrounding inscriptions, his image remains a steady symbol of unity and resilience. The reverse showcases the classic wheat ears design, which framed the words 1 cent and United States of America from 1909 through 1958. Above those words, the Latin phrase E pluribus unum still stands out, a reminder of the nation's motto even on well-worn coins. Over 64 million of these 1949s wheat pennies were produced, making them more common than some other San Francisco mint issues. Still, even with high mintage numbers, finding one in good shape today can be a challenge, especially given how long they have been circulating and the effects of time and environment on copper coins. The dark spots or black shading seen on this coin are often the result of oxidation or exposure to moisture and contaminants over the years. Damage like this reduces the coin's grade, but for collectors, it adds a layer of curiosity and personality. Each mark or shade tells a story of where the coin might have been and what it might have witnessed. In average circulated condition, a 1949s Lincoln wheat penny might be valued at 5 to 15 cents. More pristine examples can fetch higher prices, especially if they retain a red hue or show minimal wear. However, coins with damage or dark spots tend to remain at the lower end of the value range unless they possess an unusual error or variety that makes them stand out. Interestingly, some 1949s pennies are known to exhibit repunched mint marks or die cracks, and these varieties can increase a coin's desirability and value. A repunched mint mark happens when the S was struck more than once in slightly different positions during production, creating a visible doubling effect. While these varieties are rare, they can elevate the value into the several dollar range, and even more if the coin is in exceptional shape despite its age. For collectors who enjoy hunting for errors or building full sets of wheat pennies from each mint, a 1949s coin fills an important spot. Even if damaged, it helps complete the picture of that year's coinage. And while this coin may not hold the same investment appeal as a high-grade uncirculated piece, it still carries emotional value. This coin could have passed through the hands of a World War II veteran, a shopkeeper in a small town, or a child collecting coins for a school project. It might have been in a change jar, a payphone, or used to buy a newspaper in the early 1950s. Each scratch and shadow gives it more life and more history. One of the reasons collectors treasure these older wheat pennies is their connection to a time when every penny mattered. In the late 1940s, even a single cent had real purchasing power. People thought twice before tossing one aside. A coin like this was part of daily life, and its survival into the present day is a small but meaningful testament to that era. Despite the damage, the coin's presence today speaks to the strength of copper coins and the stories they carry with them. While the 1949s penny with damage and black shading may not earn headlines at an auction house, it still has its place. In the world of collecting, it serves as a reminder that value is not always measured in dollars. Sometimes it is measured in memories, in history, and in the satisfaction of preserving a tangible piece of the past. For anyone who has ever searched through pocket change or old jars in search of a wheat penny, finding a 1949s, even in worn condition, is still a special moment. It connects us not only to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, but to the millions of Americans who carried these coins and the everyday life. The 1953 D Lincoln wheat penny in used and circulated condition may not appear extraordinary at first glance, but it carries with it a deep and lasting connection to American history and the world of coin collecting. Minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small d mint mark just below the date. This coin represents a time in the early 1950s when the United States was entering a period of post-war prosperity, yet still holding tightly to its wartime values of thrift and stability. Holding this penny is like holding a little piece of that era, a symbol of everyday life when a single cent actually meant something. The obverse of the coin features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Surrounding Lincoln's profile are the words "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" on the left side, and the date 1953 to the right with the D mint mark just below it. On a used and circulated coin like this, the details may be slightly worn down, with some softening of Lincoln's facial features and hair. However, the character of the coin still shines through, and every tiny imperfection tells the story of its journey through countless pockets and hands. The reverse of the coin displays the classic wheat design that gave this series its nickname, the wheat penny. To stylize stalks of wheat curve along the sides, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above that is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, while circulation may have worn down some of the finer details on the wheat stalks or lettering. The overall design remains clear and easily recognizable to anyone who's spent time with this beloved coin series. Over 700 million of these pennies were struck at the Denver Mint in 1953, making them fairly common in general circulation. Because of that high mintage, they are not considered rare or especially valuable in circulated condition. A well-worn 1953 D wheat penny typically carries a value of about 5 to 15 cents, depending on how much detail is still visible and how evenly the coin has aged. But what makes this coin special isn't just its market price. It's the story it tells about mid-century America, and the fact that it has managed to survive more than 70 years of circulation is impressive in itself. Collectors of all levels enjoy adding the 1953 D to their collections because it fits into the broader story of the Lincoln Wheat series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. The Denver Mint issues are especially popular with those trying to build complete sets by year and mint mark. Even though this particular coin is well used, it still helps complete that picture and holds value in the eyes of a collector who appreciates the historical and emotional weight behind it. Some rare varieties and errors exist for the 1953 D penny, such as double die obverses or repunched mint marks. These errors can significantly increase a coin's value if they are in better condition and the doubling is easily visible. While this specific coin is circulated and used, making it less likely to feature such a clear error, it never hurts to check closely. A dramatic and well-preserved error could raise the value of a penny like this into the range of several dollars, or even much more if certified by a professional grading service. The coloring of the coin also plays a part in how collectors view its condition. Over time, copper coins naturally shift from bright red to brown or even a deep chocolate hue, especially after years in circulation. A 1953 D penny that still has traces of its original red tone, even if slightly worn, can be more desirable. However, in most circulated examples like this one, the coin has likely taken on a mellow brown or reddish-brown tone, which adds to its vintage appearance. This penny may have been part of someone's daily routine, dropped into a payphone, used at a diner, or saved in a child's piggy bank. It might have been carried in a soldier's pocket or passed through the hands of a factory worker, a school teacher, or a grocery clerk. These coins were everywhere, and each one carries a silent story that links us to generations past. That is part of the magic of collecting old coins, not just the thrill of finding something valuable, but the feeling of holding history in your hand. So even though the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat penny in used and circulated condition is not a coin that will make headlines or break auction records, it is still a coin worth celebrating. It's a reminder of a different time in America when pennies were powerful and coins were built to last. Whether you are just starting your collection or have been collecting for decades, coins like this one are essential pieces of the puzzle, offering a direct and personal connection to the rich tapestry of our shared past. Next up we have the 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in circulated condition is a fascinating piece of American coinage that carries nearly a century of history in its worn copper surface. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint during the Great Depression, this coin reflects a period in American life when times were incredibly tough for millions of families. Yet through all the hardship, the penny remained a trusted symbol of value, hope, and endurance. Holding one today connects you directly with the past in a way that is both emotional and meaningful. On the obverse, the design features the enduring profile of President Abraham Lincoln, created by sculptor Victor D. Brenner. Even though this penny has seen years of use, Lincoln's familiar image still stands strong. The inscription "In God We Trust" curves above his head, with liberty to the left and the date 1935 on the right. Because there is no mint mark beneath the date, we know it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark at the time. On the reverse, the wheat ears design frames the words 1 cent and United States of America with the pluribus unum at the top, symbolizing unity from many states. This coin belongs to the wheat penny series that was minted from 1909 to 1958. It remains one of the most collected and cherished coin series in the United States. The 1935 issue is considered a common date in the wheat penny family, with over 245 million examples produced at the Philadelphia Mint because of this high mintage. Circulated versions like this one are not rare but still very collectible, especially for those building a complete wheat penny set. In terms of value, most circulated 1935 wheat pennies are worth between 10 cents and 50 cents depending on the level of wear. A coin in better circulated condition with clear details may bring in a bit more from a collector who needs that date to fill a slot. If the coin is clean, without major damage or corrosion, it may have strong appeal even in lower grades. While the base value is modest, there are always exceptions that can push a coin's value higher. Coins with strong strike details, minimal surface marks, and attractive toning can sometimes be valued at several dollars, especially if sold to the right beer. Although the 1935 penny does not have any famously known major errors, collectors always keep a sharp eye out for possible varieties. Double die errors, misaligned dies, die cracks, and off-center strikes can occur on any issue. If your 1935 penny happens to show signs of doubling on the date or lettering, it could be worth significantly more than a regular example. Even a subtle error can turn an ordinary coin into a very desirable piece for error collectors, sometimes bringing in prices of $20 or more depending on the nature and severity of the mistake. There's something truly special about a coin like this. Think about the hands it may have passed through since the 1930s. This penny could have been used to buy a loaf of bread, tucked into a child's piggy bank, or dropped into a church collection plate. It has traveled nearly 100 years through history, wars, social change, and technological revolution. Despite being just 1 cent, its story is priceless. It may have been part of someone's savings during desperate times or found in change after a small purchase at a local 5-and-dime store. If you're holding this 1935 Lincoln penny today, even in circulated condition, you're holding a survivor. It has outlasted buildings, businesses, and even entire eras. For collectors, these pieces are not just about rarity or condition, they are about connection. They bring back memories, they teach history, and they help us appreciate how far we've come. So whether you're just starting your coin collection or adding to a lifelong hobby, this coin has earned its place in your hands and in your heart. Keep it safe, enjoy its history, and let it remind you that even the smallest things can carry the biggest stories. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition is one of those coins that quietly carries a deep connection to American history. This little copper piece, often overlooked in everyday circulation, represents a nation at war, a generation defined by sacrifice, and a time when every penny counted. Though it may look simple on the outside, the story behind this coin is anything but ordinary. For collectors and history enthusiasts, it's a window into the past and a symbol of strength, resilience, and unity. Minted in Philadelphia during the height of World War II, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny was struck in large numbers. Yet today, finding one in good condition is a small treasure. The lack of a mint mark indicates it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use mint marks at that time. Its composition is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a distinctive reddish-brown hue when well preserved. Over time, many of these coins have faded, worn down, or been lost, making nicely preserved examples more desirable. On the front or obverse, you'll see the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. It's the same portrait that began in 1909. Celebrating Lincoln's 100th birthday, his gaze is strong and steady, a fitting symbol during a year when American soldiers were fighting across Europe and the Pacific. The date 1942 is clear and bold, reminding us of the global events shaping every corner of life during that period. Turn the coin over and you'll find the classic wheat ears design on the reverse. Two sheaves of wheat curve around the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design, used from 1909 to 1958, was meant to symbolize prosperity and the hard work of the American people. Even now, more than 80 years later, that message still resonates. It's a simple but powerful image, and for many older collectors, it stirs a sense of nostalgia for an era where every coin had meaning. Even though this particular coin is in good condition, meaning it has some signs of wear but still maintains strong detail, it holds potential value. In general, a circulated 1942 wheat penny might sell for 10 to 20 cents, but collectors often pay more for examples with clean surfaces and sharp details. What really excites collectors are error coins, and the 1942 penny has some fascinating varieties. One of the most sought after is the double die obverse variety, where the lettering and date appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These coins are rare and can command prices of $50 to several $100, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. Even more common errors like off-center strikes or clipped plankets can increase the value to $30 or more, turning a common wheat penny into a collector's prize. There are also transitional errors to be aware of. During the early 1940s, the U.S. Mint was preparing to switch metal compositions due to wartime shortages. This led to experimental pieces and occasional mistakes in metal content. While most 1942 pennies are copper, any coin suspected of having an unusual weight or appearance should be checked carefully, as an off-metal strike could be worth thousands. Beyond monetary value, what makes the 1942 wheat penny special is its story. For many people in the 50 to 75 age group, these coins were part of everyday life. You might remember saving them as a child, spotting them in your change, or hearing stories from parents or grandparents about saving coins during the war. Holding one now is like holding a piece of living history, a small but powerful reminder of the strength and determination that helped shape America during one of its most challenging chapters. So if you have a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark and in good condition, take a moment to appreciate what it represents. Look closely at its surfaces, its edges, the tiny details that survived the decades. Whether it turns out to be a rare error coin or a common piece from a wartime year, it still holds meaning. Every collector knows the thrill of discovery, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins end up holding the most extraordinary value.